After my childhood sweetheart, Ethan Carter, won the Best Actor award, he publicly posted my secret diary, revealing the years of unrequited love I had for him. The very next day, his obsessive fans attacked me. Sulfuric acid burned my face and I was stabbed 18 times. As I lay dying, I saw Ethan approaching from a distance, a cigarette between his fingers. He exhaled a slow puff of smoke and sneered, "Why don't you take a guess? How do you think I knew where you lived?" His voice was laced with disdain. "This is all your fault. If it weren't for you meddling, how could I have been separated from Khloe? How could she have been driven to suicide, jumping from a building after enduring domestic abuse?" He let out a low chuckle, his words dripping with contempt. "Take your twisted, selfish, pathetic love and go die." When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the eve of his debut drama premiere. This time, I let him and his co-star, Khloe Quinn, openly announce their relationship. The moment Ethan's scheduled love confession post went viral, my agency's legal department publicly announced our contract termination with him. I was sitting in front of my boss, Mr. West, CEO of Legacy Entertainment. Calmly, I spoke. Ethan Carter's first drama hasn't even aired yet, and he's already making his relationship with the female lead public. This completely undermines the entire promotional campaign we built around the on-screen couple's chemistry. Not only that, but he's also blatantly disrespected the female lead. Moving forward, I doubt any actress would be willing to work with him. I paused, meeting Mr. West's gaze. I advised him that this wasn't the right time to go public with his relationship. He refused to listen. Since he insists on doing things his way, I've decided to sever ties with him before it's too late. As soon as I finished speaking, Mr. West shifted his gaze from the trending topics to my face. "I remember you and Ethan grew up together." I nodded and added, "Precisely because we grew up together, I won't let personal feelings interfere with business decisions." Hearing this, Mr. West's expression softened. "That's professional. Legacy Entertainment doesn't lack talented actors like Ethan Carter, but we also won't tolerate someone wasting resources over a love affair." I let out a quiet sigh of relief, grateful that Mr. West didn't let my connection with Ethan cloud his judgment of my abilities. At least I could still keep my job as an agent. In my previous life, I had done everything for Ethan's sake. I secretly deleted his scheduled confession post, which led to Khloe blaming him for lacking the courage to make their love public. Furious, she broke up with him. Ethan drowned himself in alcohol at a nightclub and got into a violent fight. I had to suppress the scandal and drag him home. I poured hot water into a cup to let it cool, but before I could react, a burning pain shot through my hand. Drunk and slumped on the sofa, Ethan had accidentally knocked over the cup meant to warm his stomach. Grinding his teeth, he glared at me with bloodshot eyes and cursed, "This is all your fault for meddling. Why don't you just die?" For over 20 years, I thought his hatred would fade with time, that he'd understand my good intentions. But his resentment only grew stronger, especially after he learned that Khloe had married someone else, only to be abused and forced to jump to her death. He slapped me 3 times and then posted my diary online for everyone to see. His voice was ice cold. "You keep saying it's for my own good, but isn't it just for yourself? Your love is disgusting. Absolutely repulsive." After that, his crazed fans scarred my face with acid and stabbed me 18 times. In my final moments, I saw Ethan standing not far away. I struggled to call for help, but he crouched down, pinched my face between his fingers, and exhaled a slow puff of smoke with a satisfied smirk. He whispered, "Olivia, you brought this on yourself." As I stepped out of Mr. West's office, the staff whispered among themselves. I overheard, Olivia was actually the one who brought Ethan into the company. Yeah, and weren't they childhood friends? A cold and untouchable best actor, trained by a top-tier agent. I used to ship them so hard. Just as I was about to refute them, Ethan himself walked in to finalize his departure procedures. His voice was indifferent as he said, "We were just childhood playmates, that's all." Beside him, the stunning Khloe Quinn curiously glanced at me. I caught the way Ethan subtly clenched his fists. "Yes," he continued, "just playmates." Holding Khloe's hand, he stood in front of me, a picture-perfect couple, forcing a stiff smile. "Sorry for causing trouble, but I have to take responsibility for my feelings." The playful jeers from our co-workers made Ethan blush, his eyes brimming with happiness. Khloe's gaze flickered over me before she flashed a gentle, poised smile. Ethan was afraid I'd get jealous, so he said, "You two were just childhood friends." She said sweetly, "But I really appreciate the care you gave him over the years. Now that I've stolen him away, I'll take good care of him. I looked at Ethan, silent beside her, then smiled. Ethan is a talented newcomer, I said. This announcement of your relationship has brought in quite the buzz. Being in the same company should make things more convenient. Ethan hesitated, as if about to say something, but Khloe subtly nudged his elbow and he obediently shut his mouth. Seeing this, I simply nodded politely. I still have other actors to manage, so another colleague will handle the rest of the transition. You two go ahead and finish up. If fate allows, we'll meet again. I wish you both happiness. Or perhaps for them, the best ending would be nothing more than just that, two lovers finally ending up together. I knew the company Khloe Quinn belonged to. They were obsessed with buying trending searches, believing that even negative publicity was still publicity. Most of their artists thrived on opportunism, seizing attention and capitalizing on controversy. Now that Ethan Carter and Khloe had gone public with their relationship, they had gained some traction. Their company was willing to take Ethan in, but this kind of attention came at the cost of exhausting all his future potential. From now on, Ethan Carter would no longer be Ethan Carter. He would only be known as Khloe Quinn's boyfriend. His greatest achievement would no longer be his acting, but the trending news of his publicized romance. Acting isn't a career that can be sustained by publicity alone. I sincerely wish them happiness. May this fleeting moment of fame last them a lifetime. Ethan Carter and I had been neighbors. He was born 88 days before me. We had played together since we were toddlers, growing up closer than family. His parents were local theater actors, and under their influence, he had dreamed of becoming an actor from a young age. Meanwhile, I, carrying the secret affections of a young girl, followed the determined and resolute boy, hoping to become his greatest supporter on his path to success. I had seen him push himself to the point of collapse while dieting for his entrance exam into the performing arts school. He had seen me burning the midnight oil to earn my agent license. When we had just graduated from college, he had pulled me excitedly to a street-side screen broadcasting the live announcement of the Golden Blossom Awards for Best Actor. Olivia, he had said, eyes burning with passion. Do you believe it? One day we'll stand on that stage together holding that trophy. His young face had been flushed red from the cold, but his gaze had remained unwavering and full of fire. I had turned to look at him and said, Ethan, I'll give everything I have to help you become the next best actor. Back then, I had believed so easily that dreams were everything to him, that one day we would stand as equals at the top. So when he lost his way, I thought it was just a temporary detour. As his agent, it was my duty to guide him back. But I was wrong. Ethan's passion had long ceased to burn for his dreams. It had been extinguished the moment he met Khloe Quinn. From the start, Khloe, with her years of experience navigating the entertainment industry, had set her sights on the young and determined Ethan. Perhaps it was boredom, or perhaps it was pure manipulation, but she took advantage of their time working together. She leaned in close, her breath teasing against his ear, testing his boundaries. Ethan had blushed furiously and pushed her away, but his trembling hand gripping the script betrayed him. Like opposite poles of a magnet, he found himself drawn to her reckless boldness. One offhanded remark from Khloe about liking something, and Ethan would go out of his way to buy it for her. She casually handed him a cup of milk tea, and after drinking it, he kept the paper cup, using it to grow flowers. Every item she deliberately left behind, he would carefully pick up and treasure. With just a few effortless moves, Khloe had him wrapped around her finger. I had tried to reason with him. I told him that a truly talented actor should focus on his career, especially in the early stages. He needed to protect his image and reputation. The company had invested immense resources to secure him his first leading role. Surely he understood what was at stake. But the moment the words left my mouth, I suddenly realized just how fragile our 21 years of friendship truly were. It couldn't even compare to the 20-something days he had spent with Khloe. Ethan and I had the biggest fight we had ever had. Olivia, know your place, he had snapped. You're my agent. Your job is to serve me, not to dictate my personal life. After that, Ethan completely froze me out, beginning a year-long silent war against me. During that time, he spent every moment either filming or glued to Khloe's side for the sake of his debut drama's success. Success. I quietly covered up his relationship, ensuring the news wouldn't leak. Then I saw his scheduled confession post. Out of professionalism, I deleted it. By all standards, personal, ethical, professional, at that critical moment in Ethan's career, I couldn't allow anything to go wrong. At the time, I had no idea that because of that one action, Ethan would resent me for a lifetime. In truth, in my past life, Ethan and I hadn't always been locked in constant hostility. We had a brief period of reconciliation. It happened when he finally got the news he'd been waiting for. Khloe wanted a divorce. They started talking again, and Ethan, determined to give her a better life, set his sights on the Best Actor award. His attitude toward me softened considerably. Back then, I hadn't fully grasped the connection between these events. I had simply thought that time was a great healer, capable of erasing all grievances. I worked myself to the bone for him, tirelessly selecting scripts, building connections, and running favors, while he spent his days long lost in romance with his first love. I followed behind him, always supporting him, always putting his career first, even when I knew I was being used. That brief period, though riddled with exploitation, was still something I couldn't let go of. I clung to it until one day, Ethan Carter accidentally discovered my long-buried feelings for him. He resented me for meddling in his life. He hated me for making him miss out on years with Khloe Quinn. Even though everyone around him said that Khloe was nothing more than a gold digger, someone who only cared about profit, he stubbornly clung to the excuse that their breakup had been because he hadn't made their relationship public. He refused to accept the truth that Khloe had left him back then because he had been poor. Yet in my past life, I had been just like him. I had clung to the delusion that everything had fallen apart simply because Ethan had been too naive, too easily deceived. I refused to acknowledge the truth that my judgment had been catastrophically flawed. It wasn't until the knife pierced through my skin inch by inch that I realized he wasn't the only fool. I had been just as blind. I had made a mistake beyond redemption. I had made too many excuses for him. Now, with a second chance, I was done wasting my time on this withered, twisted tree. Instead, I had discovered an entire forest. Every year, the Film Academy produced countless talented newcomers, all of them brimming with passion and ambition, eager to carve their names into cinematic history. I was in the middle of interviewing an aspiring actor when my phone started buzzing nonstop. My work chat was flooded with people forwarding Ethan's latest update. What is he even thinking? He just debuted and he's already posting something like this. He's announcing that he'll never do kiss scenes. At first, when he went public with his relationship, I thought he was just slow. Turns out he's just a total love brain. Huge turnoff. What a joke. The drama isn't even finished filming and he's already prioritizing his girlfriend over his career. What a waste of company resources. No sense of professionalism at all. The messages kept pouring in. It took me a while to scroll up and find the original post. I tapped into Ethan Carter's social media page. His new post had skyrocketed in engagement, but at the same time, his follower count was steadily declining. In a daze, I suddenly remembered the first time Ethan's work had ever received tens of thousands of likes. He had been so excited he nearly jumped into my arms. "Olivia, I finally have real fans." He had beamed, reading through every comment one by one, replying to them personally. He had stayed up that entire night, endlessly refreshing the page, counting how many new followers he had gained. Then, in the middle of the night, my phone rang. Ethan's frantic voice shot through the receiver. "Olivia, where's my agent? My most incredible, unparalleled, legendary agent?" At the time, I had been half asleep and mumbled a drowsy response. But when there was no reply, I gradually woke up and hesitantly asked, "Ethan, are you still there?" From the other end of the line came the sound of him choking back tears. "Olivia, you've been training me for so long. You stayed up late with me to study film editing. You even researched trending topics while eating. And yet, after all that effort, this is all the following I've managed to build. If I ever become a real Best Actor one day, I swear I'll stand on that award stage and tell the whole world how much I owe you." His words had made me laugh. I had promised him over and over that I would always have his back. That night had felt so long, our hearts had been so close, so warm. Back then, Ethan Carter had still remembered everything I had done for him. That was the night my foolish young heart began to fall for him. It was the night I first realized I loved Ethan Carter. I had written in my diary that night, "The road is long and dark, but if I'm walking it with you, it doesn't seem so hard. Ethan Carter, I think I love you." And in the end, I had kept my promise. I had helped him become Best Actor, but he had broken his at the height of his success. He repaid me with nothing but cruelty. He trampled my love beneath his feet. With venom in his voice, he had looked me in the eye and said, "Olivia, why wasn't it you who died? Khloe and I were so happy together. Why did you have to get in the way? Take your sick, twisted, disgusting love and just go die." Now, the first group of fans that Ethan had painstakingly built, those who had once adored him, were abandoning him in droves. For the past half-month, Ethan Carter had turned his once carefully curated social media into nothing more than a personal love diary. 5 or 6 posts a day, all detailing his relationship with Khloe Quinn. Love truly was powerful. It had somehow transformed a man who could barely meet the 800-word requirement in school essays into someone capable of writing long, poetic declarations of love every single day. Even the shortest of his posts ran into the thousands of words, yet still, he never seemed to run out of ways to profess his devotion to Khloe. I noticed that some of his earliest fans, the ones who had supported him from the very beginning, had started complaining about his obsessive, love-brained behavior in the comments. One by one, they were getting blocked by him. The Ethan Carter who once genuinely cared about his fans was gone. He didn't care about losing followers. The only thing that mattered to him was whether Khloe had shed a single tear. He was even trying to get Khloe more screen time in their upcoming drama, using his position as the male lead to pressure the writers into rewriting the script on set. I didn't know whether to call him hopelessly devoted or downright pathetic. He had been dealt such a great hand, and yet he was throwing it all away just to make a woman smile. What a waste of that face. A sharp breath of cold air brushed against my ear. I turned around to see a young man with strikingly handsome features. Though still youthful, his eyes burned with unmistakable ambition. I closed my phone and frowned at him. My gaze locked onto his stunning fox-like eyes. Has no one ever taught you that looking at someone's phone without permission is extremely rude? Even after being scolded, he remained unfazed. "You're right, my bad," he admitted casually. Then, as if he hadn't just been reprimanded, he added, "But I really mean it, Olivia. You have great taste. It's just a shame that some people don't know how to appreciate it. Compared to him, I think I'm far more deserving of your investment." Shameless. But he wasn't wrong. The world was never short of talented people. It was never short of ambitious people either. What it lacked were those who had the guts to seize their opportunities no matter the cost. I smirked slightly. Welcome to Legacy, Ryan. 2 weeks later, I received word that a drama was replacing its lead actor. Without hesitation, I took Ryan Lynn to the production company. The original male lead had been Ethan Carter. I hadn't expected the production team to be so decisive. Originally, Ethan's debut drama was set to air the day after he publicly announced his relationship. But after his declaration, the agency representing the female lead decided that Ethan had become too arrogant. The two sides had originally agreed to hype up a romance between the lead actors before the premiere to boost publicity. But now, Khloe's popularity was overshadowing the official female lead, making things unbearably awkward. Under mounting pressure, the drama's release was postponed. This had been the female lead's agency's final straw with Ethan. If he had even a shred of awareness, he would have reached out to smooth things over and refocus on promoting the drama. But instead, Ethan had been too intoxicated by his love to care. He and Khloe had been using the buzz from their announcement to attend low-tier, unremarkable offline events. They had even started live streaming together for quick cash grabs. It was disgraceful for a lead actor to behave this way. In just 2 weeks, the director, the female lead, and several investors had come to a unanimous decision. Ethan Carter was out. The moment the news leaked, Ryan had been preparing non-stop. The second we arrived at the director's office, we ran into Ethan. His face stormy as he rushed out. A soft feminine voice called out behind him. "Director, don't lower yourself to his level." "He's not worth it," Khloe said. Ethan froze in place, his eyes shimmering with unshed tears. But when he turned and saw me, he quickly averted his gaze, tilting his head back as if trying to regain his composure. He wanted to maintain at least a shred of dignity in front of me. But the truth was, the moment he let himself drown in love, he had already lost his freedom. Without the strength to stand on his own, he had become nothing more than a puppet at the mercy of a ruthless industry. One day, when his company had drained him of every last bit of value, he would be discarded, left to be swallowed by the endless waves of new talent. Khloe strutted out the door, swinging her hips as she glanced dismissively at me and Ryan. Then, with a dramatic flair, she whipped her purse at Ethan's face. "What are you looking at?" "Hurry up and leave," she snapped. "You think she's still your childhood friend? She's here to steal your role." Without sparing him another glance, she turned on her heel and walked away. A sharp cut formed on Ethan's cheek where the corner of her bag had struck him, and a thin line of blood began to seep out. I remembered how much Ethan had always cared about his face. Back in kindergarten, boys would often get into fights. But whenever Ethan got bullied, he never fought back. He would just pout, shielding his face. Eventually, everyone started calling him a coward. At first, I had looked down on him for it too. I had once thrown a punch at him, teasing, "Come on, coward, fight me." No matter how much I provoked him, Ethan had always protected his face. I had laughed at him back then and swung my fist at his cheek, only for him to grab my wrist with surprising strength. His voice had been firm. "I want to be an actor. My mom says my face is important." Back then, he had been willing to endure anything for the sake of his dream. Now, he was willing to throw everything away for love, even the dream he had nurtured for over 20 years. The blood on Ethan's cheek shimmered under the setting sun, making him look both comical and pathetic. Out of habit, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a tissue, handing it to him. But he slapped it away. "I don't need your pity," he growled. Then he turned away. "You two should just go inside. I'm not the male lead anymore." I watched as Ethan Carter desperately chased after Khloe Quinn, his familiar yet distant silhouette. Fading from sight, a complicated feeling churned inside me. Why did I feel a trace of pity? Ryan Lynn, who had been watching the scene unfold for a while, suddenly muttered, "No, I was just thinking maybe today is the best day he'll have for years to come. Sometimes when you take the wrong path, the harder you try, the further you stray. Just like I had in my past life. Just like Ethan is now. In my previous life, after Ethan and Khloe broke up, he harbored resentment toward me. On set, he deliberately made things difficult for me, sending me back and forth to buy coffee 78 times, rejecting each one with a different excuse. Too hot, too cold, too sweet, too bitter. Actually, maybe the first one was best after all. Even when other cast members couldn't stand to watch and tried to speak up for me, he shot them down aggressively. Even Mr. West, the CEO of Legacy, advised me to drop him and work with a different actor. Looking back, I didn't know if it was blind optimism or sheer stupidity that made me hold on. I kept telling myself that this was just his first love, that the breakup had been too painful, and that he'd come to his senses with time. With that belief, I walked a path of no return. Year after year, I stayed by Ethan's side without complaints or regrets. 2 years passed. He had finally secured his footing in the industry. Khloe had divorced, and the two of them reconnected. Because of her, my relationship with Ethan gradually improved. On the surface, it seemed like we had gone back to how we used to be, though we were never as close as before. I still remember the day I moved apartments. Ethan, without being asked, enthusiastically showed up to help me carry boxes. That was the final flicker of warmth between us, a dying light before complete darkness. Because on that very day, he accidentally found an old diary of mine from years ago. On one of the pages, written in clear, unwavering handwriting, were the words, "I think I might love Ethan Carter." If before Ethan had assumed I deleted his confession post out of professional obligation, causing him and Khloe to miss their chance, then after reading that line, he had every reason to believe it had all been a calculated scheme born out of possessiveness. The day after he won his Best Actor award, he publicly posted my diary online. Then he messaged me directly, spewing his hatred, hiding behind the excuse of company interests. "Was all of this just a cover-up for your disgusting love? You're like a rat crawling in the gutter using such despicable tricks. You make me sick. I wish I had never met you." For 2 years, he had kept his resentment bottled up, and now he had finally found a way to unleash it all at once, drowning me in his hatred. I fell gravely ill. Days later, when he finally showed up at my door, holding a container of my favorite seafood porridge, he apologized. He said he had spoken in anger, that he hadn't meant it. He claimed he felt guilty and wanted to make amends. Foolishly, I believed him. I was so weak that I barely had the strength to open the door, but the moment I did, a bucket of sulfuric acid was thrown onto my face. That was when I realized he had never intended to forgive me. He had never planned to let me go. His obsessed fans had pieced together their own twisted version of the truth. After Khloe had married a wealthy businessman in Hong Kong, she had endured endless domestic violence. She had suffered multiple miscarriages, been in and out of hospitals, and her body had been left covered in bruises. Less than 3 years into her marriage, she was diagnosed with severe depression. In the end, unable to escape, unable to bear it any longer, she jumped from the 18th floor. To Ethan's fans, I was the villain. I had ruined Ethan's love. I deserved to be ripped apart, so they stabbed me 18 times. As my consciousness blurred, I saw Ethan standing just a few steps away. For a moment, I thought I was saved. I thought he would finally show me mercy. but instead he crouched down, grasped my chin between his fingers, and exhaled a ring of smoke into my face. Even then, I refused to give up. Summoning every last ounce of strength, I dragged myself toward him, clawing at his pant leg, hoping that for the sake of our past, he would save me. Instead, he kicked my hand away. With a smirk, he whispered, "Olivia, why don't you take a guess? How do you think they found out where you lived?" Then he walked away. Not long after he left, my phone vibrated with a new message. It was from him. "Sorry, I got a little too emotional earlier. I may have been too harsh on you. Wishing you all the best with your new project." So this was how he treated me when I didn't interfere with his life. This was the Ethan Carter I should have known all along. In my past life, I had foolishly sacrificed everything to protect him, but for what? Ryan Lynn, on the other hand, fit me in ways Ethan never did. Whether in work or in private, we understood each other. He was even more like the Ethan I had once admired, strong, courageous, and ambitious. That was when I finally realized the love I had for Ethan Carter had never been about him. It had all been a fantasy, a product of my own delusion. In my past life, I had been so wrong. I should have never built up such unrealistic fantasies about him, nor should I have shaped him into something he was never meant to be. You can force a fruit off the vine, but it'll never taste sweet. Ryan Lynn successfully secured the role, but reshooting the male lead's scenes was an enormous challenge. Almost all of his interactions with other characters had to be filmed using a green screen, acting opposite empty space. On top of that, with the drama's release on a tight schedule, the production was pressed for time. Ryan had only 20 days to finish all his solo monologues, and another 10 to complete his interaction scenes. I stayed by his side through countless sleepless nights, pushing through exhaustion just to get everything done. His professionalism and dedication never wavered. Before filming even wrapped, the director had already locked him in for their next project. When production finally ended and we returned to the hotel, we collapsed on the floor, completely drained. I asked him, "Why do you work this hard?" Ryan dodged the question and instead turned it back on me. I fell silent, thinking for a moment before answering, "Because I love it." After everything I had been through across 2 lifetimes, I had finally come to understand my own heart. I loved the feeling of striving toward a goal. I loved the fulfillment of working tirelessly for something meaningful, and most of all, I loved having someone by my side, fighting alongside me. Ryan chuckled, his striking fox-like eyes twinkling with amusement. "Come on, don't lie to me. I've been surrounded by liars lately." Before I could stop myself, I blurted out, "I suck at math." I had no future in academics, and I wanted to become a powerful woman who built her own career. He smirked at me. Because I was poor? At first, I thought he was joking, but when I turned to look at him, his usual playful expression was gone. Ryan had come from the remote Northwest Mountains. He had been born with an extraordinary face, one that had carried him all the way to the capital, to film school, and eventually to where he was now. But whether it was a blessing or a curse, the dazzling world of the city had been like Pandora's box, opening his eyes to just how deep his poverty ran. He had been lost. He had struggled. And in the end, he had been unwilling to accept that kids from his hometown could never have the same opportunities. His dreams were too big. He wanted to earn an immense fortune, and only money could make his wishes come true. So he continued, "I don't fall in love easily. The weight on my shoulders is too heavy. I want my people to leave those mountains. I want them to see the world. No matter how good or bad it is, anything is better than a life where they don't even have a choice." Under the night sky, the city lights flickered like scattered stars. Suddenly, love and grudges felt so insignificant. Ryan's debut film was released, and it was a massive hit. It smashed viewership records, reaching 8 billion views, more than double what I remembered Ethan Carter ever achieving in my past life. Same director, same cast. The only difference was the male lead. One had thrown himself into his work, giving it everything he had. The other had been too caught up in his love life to care. The contrast was glaring. Online, the audience was ruthless. This is what it means for one actor to save an entire drama. Thank God they replaced the male lead. Otherwise, the original fans of the novel would have been crying. Why is Ethan Carter so obsessed with dating? Is it because he's bad at everything else? Years of reputation building crumbled as Ryan's popularity skyrocketed. The comparisons were inevitable, and with every discussion, Ryan stepped further into the spotlight, while Ethan sank into irrelevance. Ryan watched the trending rankings, his eyes filled with ambition. "Took me long enough," he said smugly. I chuckled, tossing a thick stack of scripts onto the table. All right, Mr. Rising Star, take a break from celebrating. We need to pick your next project. He groaned. Damn, you don't waste time, do you? Can't you let this poor actor rest? We were laughing when a shadow fell over us. A familiar voice interrupted, soft yet hesitant. Olivia, do you have... It had only been 6 months, but Ethan Carter looked like a completely different person. His skin had darkened from long days spent under the sun, and the once pristine face he had been so proud of now bore faint scars. He hesitated, unable to bring himself to say what he wanted. Even now, his pride still held him back. After everything, he still hadn't learned what Ryan had known from the start, to swallow his pride and fight for what he wanted. Ryan stood, giving me space. Once he was gone, Ethan finally exhaled. Olivia, he began, his voice tentative. I know this is unfair to you, but for the sake of our years of friendship, can I come back to Legacy? I stood there silent for a long time after hearing his words. There was a time when I gave him everything, and he treated it like nothing. Ethan Carter kept talking, completely oblivious to the way my expression had grown colder and colder. Things have been rough for me lately. My agency forced me into all these shady live stream sales, tying me and Khloe Quinn together as a package deal. I've done so many things against my conscience, and now my reputation is getting worse and worse. He kept going, pouring out his grievances as if I were still the same person who would stand by his side no matter what. These online companies are squeezing everything they can out of me. The public is turning against me. Olivia, you probably won't believe this, but I had this really long dream recently. In the dream, you wished for me to become Best Actor, but I... He hesitated, his voice growing softer, then almost inaudible. I let you down. Dreams are just reflections of the subconscious. Maybe deep down, some part of him still believed that I was the only one who could save him. But why did he think I would help him? I straightened my posture and looked at him coldly. And what makes you think I'll help you? Ethan visibly stiffened, like he had never considered the possibility that I wouldn't. He opened his mouth, but no words came out, because to him, I had always been just a childhood friend. Nothing more. The realization hit him like a bolt of lightning. He stood frozen, unmoving, as if his entire world had cracked. In this life, Ethan Carter hadn't done anything to harm me, but in my past life, I could still remember the burn of acid on my skin, the agony of a knife piercing me 18 times. The pain was seared into my bones. I would never ever give him another chance to hurt me. You only come to me when you need something, but when everything was fine, wasn't it always Khloe who mattered most? I said flatly, No, Olivia, that's not it. Ethan's voice trembled as he tried to explain. I really did take the wrong path. Tears shimmered in his eyes, though they never fell. Then you should take responsibility for your choices, I said, my voice quiet but firm. You made your bed, now lie in it. Ethan, do you even remember why you wanted to become an actor in the first place? It was a question I had asked him when we were just 8 years old. Back then, his young eyes had been bright with determination. I want to be a big star just like my parents. Later, as we grew up, he had told me, I don't just want to be a great actor. I want to tell meaningful stories, to share emotions and values with the world. But now, all of that had faded into nothing. He had become the very thing he once despised. For the first time, his figure in front of me looked smaller. Maybe I wasn't as ruthless as I thought. My heart softened slightly, just for a moment. The only thing I can give you is advice, I said. My voice was quiet but resolute. The same advice I gave you in the beginning. Cherish every opportunity you get to appear in front of the public. Be genuine to your fans. Start over bit by bit. And next time, when a chance comes your way, have the guts to fight for it. There are too many talented people in this industry. The market only remembers those who dare to seize it. I never mentioned his relationship. My advice was clear, there was nothing more to say. I picked up my bag, ready to leave, but Ethan suddenly grabbed my wrist. Olivia, I'll take your advice seriously, he said hesitantly. But there's something else I want to ask you. Something I want to hear from you directly. People have been saying that you used to like me. Is it true? His palm was damp with cold sweat. I gently pried his fingers away. Ethan, I said softly, there are far more important things in this world than romance. My feelings, whatever they were, don't matter anymore. What matters now is the road ahead. And my person, the one who will walk this road with me, is somewhere up ahead. No one is obligated to wait for you forever. Life moves forward, and so did I. Ryan Lynn's talent, combined with his ambition, pushed him to success at an astonishing speed. In just 3 years, he won the industry's highest honors, achieving a Grand Slam. From time to time, I would hear updates about Ethan from my mother. "That poor boy," she would sigh. "His girlfriend keeps cheating on him. But because of the contract with their agency, he can't even break up with her. They're stuck together, pretending to be in love for the cameras." She shook her head. "He looks so miserable." "He chose this path," I said. "That may be true, but he still hasn't given up on acting."
The other day, when it was snowing so hard, he went out just to play a minor role.
He ended up getting sick for half a month, and as soon as he recovered, he went straight back to filming. "That girl really ruined him." "Mom," I sighed, "she didn't ruin him. Ethan did this to himself." By the 4th year, Ryan Lynn won the Golden Blossom Award for Best Actor, becoming the youngest winner in history. At the award ceremony, I was no longer the trembling rat hiding in the shadows. Thanks to Ryan Lynn's strong recommendation, I had the privilege of stepping onto this grand stage, dressed in a champagne gold satin gown. So, this was what the view looked like from the top. Uncontrollably, my mind flashed back to another lifetime, Ethan Carter's fiery, impassioned speech when he had once stood here. My palms grew slightly damp. Sensing my nervousness, Ryan turned off his mic and leaned in close to whisper in my ear. "Relax, Miss Jang, 50-50 split, okay? Just standing here with me means your bank account balance is about to gain 3 extra zeros." Then, as if he had flipped a switch, he turned his mic back on and grinned at the crowd. "What doesn't kill me only makes me richer." The audience erupted into laughter and applause. Ryan was full of life, standing there, his ambition so blatant yet so captivating. My gaze subconsciously drifted to the audience, and then I saw them. Beneath the brim of a black baseball cap, a pair of eyes that were all too familiar, Ethan Carter. He had never reached out to me again. Not long after, he drunkenly started a live stream, mumbling the same words over and over. So it wasn't a dream. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Years ago, he had thrown out the word so easily, "Be bold. Own your choices." And now, what did he think? He could just take them back? You only get one youth. Once it's gone, you can't ask for a refund. "Olivia, say a few words." Ryan's voice snapped me out of my thoughts. He was smiling, pushing the microphone toward me. I smiled back. "I hope we can always stay ambitious even when we're 70. I want us to still be making movies together." When I glanced back at the audience, the black baseball cap was gone, vanishing without a trace. Ryan only continued to rise, his fame burning bright, turning from red hot to deep violet to nearly black with intensity. We both became increasingly busy. So busy, in fact, that the next time I saw Ethan Carter again, I barely recognized him. He was in a live stream, his neck flushed red as he angrily argued with someone over shipping fees. Beside him, Khloe Quinn sat with a look of pure disgust. Even under their heavy layers of foundation, their complexions looked terrible. The young assistant beside me, full of curiosity, leaned in excitedly. "Do you know Clear Snow? This couple is hilarious." She didn't wait for my answer before launching into an enthusiastic explanation. So, when they first got together, the guy used their relationship to gain fame and milked every bit of traffic from it. But after just a few sweet days, the girl cheated on him with some rich guy and tried to break up. The guy originally wanted to split up and go back to being an actor, but his company wouldn't let him. They were making too much money off their sales streams. So now he just squeezes in a few side gigs, taking minor roles in random productions. But audiences don't care anymore. There are way too many handsome guys in the industry. Who needs him? Plus, his acting was always just average. In the end, he gave up and went all in on selling products. Now they make money off breakup dramas, getting back together, and selling toilet paper. It's non-stop entertainment, just scandal after scandal. The other assistant scoffed. "Come on, don't call it love-hate. They don't even love each other. This is just pure toxicity at this point." As they joked, I found that I could barely remember that winter night years ago when Ethan had declared his dream of becoming the next generation's best actor. The years continued to pass. Ryan Lynn became a legend in the industry, sweeping every major award and solidifying his place as an irreplaceable actor. By the time he was 30, he had already won his second Golden Blossom Award for Best Actor, and his films consistently broke box office records. As for me, I stood beside him every step of the way, no longer just an agent, but a force in the industry in my own right. One night, after a particularly grueling shoot, Ryan and I sat on the rooftop of a film set, sharing a quiet moment over 2 cups of coffee. "Olivia," he mused, staring at the city lights.
You ever think about how far we've come?
I chuckled. All the time. We used to be nobodies, running on nothing but ambition, he continued. Now we're at the top, but I don't want to stop. Not yet.
You don't have to, I said simply.
The road is still long, and I'll keep walking it with you. He smiled. I like the sound of that. Across the industry, people called us a dream team, a powerhouse agent, and an unstoppable actor. We were known for our work, our influence, our relentless pursuit of greatness. And Ethan Carter? He faded further and further into obscurity. Occasionally, I would still hear about him through my mother or through passing conversations. His career had long since collapsed, and his relationship with Khloe Quinn had become nothing more than a business arrangement. He had tried to make a comeback several times, but each attempt had ended in failure. The industry had moved on without him. The last time I ever saw him was by chance on a cold winter night. I was on my way home from a late-night shoot when I passed by a small theater. There, standing in the snow, was a man in worn-out clothes handing out flyers for a stage play. Ethan Carter. His once pristine features were weathered with time, his once proud posture now slouched. His fingers, once trembling with excitement as he held his first award, were now numb from the cold. He saw me. Our eyes met for a brief second. Something flickered across his face. Regret, perhaps, or maybe just nostalgia. But neither of us said a word. I walked past him without stopping, because no matter how much history we shared, the truth remained. No one is obligated to wait for you forever. And I never had to look back.